Take a look at that. Sometimes I honestly forget how pretty it is here. So last weekend I started making a video, and the plan was to just sort of journal or document 2 gigs that I had. Both of them were for schools. One was for 8th graders, so probably 12, 13 years old, and the other one was for grads, so 17, 18 years old. The one for the younger kids was on the Wednesday last week, so I started the video by talking about that before I went into it and how it went coming out of it. I'm gonna play that for you right now, but then we're gonna come back here and talk about what happened at the second one, because nothing happened according to plan. Hello friends, I hope you're all doing well. This is gonna be a little bit different from the last few videos because I have even less of a plan than usual. I'm actually on my way to a gig right now, and then I have another one tomorrow. So this is gonna be, I guess, a bit of a vlog slash performance diary of those 2 gigs. They're both school events. Tonight's is like a grade 8 middle school graduation event, and tomorrow's is a proper dry grad for a high school. But because both of them are for children, don't expect any performance footage because I don't want to put videos of random children on my YouTube channel. And also forgive me if I sound out of breath for walking while I'm trying to talk. Yeah, so tonight's gig is for graduates of a middle school, so like 8th graders. So I guess they're probably about 13-ish years old. And it's my 4th year in a row doing it. So I'm very familiar with this gig at this point. And it's pretty fun because they are definitely hyper rowdy kids, but I don't have to do kids magic for them because they're old enough to understand and like appreciate the I guess adult magic in my repertoire. There are a few things that I have that are maybe sort of geared to appeal to them a bit more. Like I think I'm going to be doing Uncommon, the Pokemon card trick tonight, and I think I'm going to do Socks as well, which I've done for proper kids shows and adults as well, because Socks kind of plays to every type of audience. But yeah, I think after each gig tonight and tomorrow, I'll probably sit down and sort of talk about how things went, if anything was interesting, if anything went wrong, if anything I feel particularly went well. So yeah, I'll see you in a bit. All right, so that's that gig in the bag. I just got out. Sorry about the sun right behind me. It's probably gonna have a bit of a glare, but that one went really well. It was just a nice, easy hour and a half of close-up. Since it's my 4th year in a row doing this one, I've become pretty accustomed to what plays well for crowds of 13-year-olds. So it did go really well. There was a couple things that didn't go quite as well as I hoped. So I'm gonna talk about those first, and then I'm gonna talk about the things that I'm really excited about that went really well. I tried to do Fizzmaster for one group, which is a Paul Harris trick. It's in the Art of Astonishment, where you have 2 cans of soda. One gets shaken up, and then you basically make the carbonation switch places with the other one. So the shaken up can doesn't explode, but the one that no one touched does. I did it with 2 cans of sparkling water, and it didn't totally fall flat, no pun intended, but the second can didn't explode the way I wanted it to. It kind of dribbled out a little bit onto someone's shoe, which, good thing it was only sparkling water. But if you do Fizzmaster, you know that the thing you have to do to make the other can explode, it's really easy to overdo it or to underdo it. So it seemed like I kind of underdid it this time, but it didn't totally fall flat. It got a little bit of a reaction. I did David Williamson's Torn and Restored Transpo a couple of times tonight, and the first time the first time I somehow missed the Classic Force, even though you have a bank of 3 cards to hit the Classic Force. I missed it, but didn't even realize I missed it until I was at the point where I asked what their card was. So I'm in the middle of a Magician in Trouble plot, acting like I don't know what their card is, but I actually didn't know what their card was, so I kind of had to improvise a little bit there, but saved it in the end. And I also did thread for one group, the Wayne Houchin thing where you put thread in your mouth and you pull it out your eye. I was like, this is a group of middle schoolers. There must be a group of boys that is going to think this is the coolest thing ever. But the group of boys that I did it for, they did react, but they didn't react the way I'm used to people reacting to such a freaky trick. They were kind of just like, whoa, oh, what are you doing? Oh, that's kind of gross. Oh, what? And it's just like, what does it take to make a group of 13-year-old boys freak out? Like, I guess that's just not that freaky to them. I don't know. But the last thing I want to talk about, and the things that didn't quite go how I hoped, is I've kind of retired rubber band magic for myself for quite a while. And I decided to bring it back out tonight. So I got a couple of rubber bands around my wrist, and I was doing Crazy Man's handcuffs to a few groups. And I think it was 2, maybe 3 groups that I performed Crazy Man's handcuffs to had someone say, I've seen this on TikTok. So I know magicians talk all the time about, should we retire certain tricks because they're overexposed online? And I've never had the moment before tonight where I'm trying to perform a trick and someone actually says, oh, I saw this online. Maybe it's because I was performing for very young people who are on TikTok all the time. I probably wouldn't have that issue at a corporate of all adults, but it was kind of an interesting thing. I guess Crazy Man's handcuffs is one of those tricks that's just very, very exposed at this point. I don't think I'll completely retire it again. I'll probably just have to save it for people who are not super TikTok brain rotted and seeing magic tricks, basic magic tricks exposed all the time. But as for the things that went really well, almost everything went great. I got a magic app recently that's a phone unlock, and I was performing that a few times tonight, and it got a pretty crazy reaction every single time. So I would first get them to guess my phone password, and that would get a really good reaction when they'd get into my phone. I'd say, use your intuition, try and guess what each number is. And then they would absolutely freak out when I'd go, but there's no way that I could know your password. And I would get into their phone. So that was really, really good. I brought branded with me, the branded lighter gimmick with me. And I did it twice tonight, but neither time did I do it with the actual deck of cards. There was a couple times where I was gonna go into something with the deck, but I just said, just name a card, name any card. And I have the mini branded that only has the 3 of hearts on it. And I had 2 occasions where someone said 3 of hearts. So I was able to do branded with a freely named card. And that was really cool. Maybe one of the strongest moments of the entire evening though, was after I did the phone unlock on somebody, she said, can you just guess anything I'm thinking of? Oh my God, can you guess my crush's name? So you know how 13-year-olds are. And I went, maybe, let's try. And I have the Razor wallet in my pocket. So I was able to very seamlessly go into this mentalism hit because she was like, can you guess the name of the person that I like? And I went, maybe, we'll try. So I went into that with the Razor wallet. So when I was able to get it, they freaked out because even though you do have a billet and they are writing it down, it does feel essentially propless. And you know, I do play up the whole thing of like sort of reading facial cues or whatever when I'm like, I'll go through the letters and be like, oh no, your nose twitched on this one, you know, that bullshit. But people, especially young people, really buy it. So I do play into it. Yeah, so that one was really good. Tomorrow night is a dry grad for a high school. So it's later at night. It's only for an hour, but the kids are gonna be a little bit older. So I'll see you tomorrow night and we'll see how that one goes. So what you've seen up until this point is the part that went according to plan. I had kind of started to film the same sort of thing going into the second night, but that kind of fell apart as the night started to fall apart. So here I am a few weeks later because I've been too much of a lazy ass to sit down and actually record this video. And I'm gonna tell you the story from beginning to end. I have already told the story on the 404 live stream with Lloyd, but I'm going to tell it again here, and I'm going to maybe tell it a little bit more detailed than I did before. So the gig that you just heard me talk about was on a Wednesday evening. This gig is later the next night, so Thursday night going into early Friday morning. So here's how that night was supposed to go. We start at a dry grad for a high school, which is held at a building at the University of Victoria here. And the way that that night was supposed to go was me doing an hour of close-up magic from about 10 p.m. to 11 p.m. and then my good friend Jason Verner's doing his stage show starting at 12:30, and that being about an hour and 10-minute show, something like that. So we show up about 9:15 and we start getting set up. I help him get set up on stage a little bit, and then 10 o'clock comes around. I think I started about 10:15, my close-up magic, and it was like okay. The thing about this school is their grad day is a lot longer than a lot of other schools. Like a lot of other schools kind of have all their things sort of split up amongst a bunch of different days, but this school, everyone was up at like 6 a.m. to start getting ready and doing like hair and stuff for the photos, which are taken that day. And then after they had photos, they went and did something, and then they had like the ceremony, and then there was a dinner, and then the dry grad going all night. Like, so by the time I started doing close-up magic, they were tired. Like I had to like really kind of be in their face to keep them awake. So it was a little bit challenging in that sense, but it wasn't bad. It was just an hour of close-up magic, nothing I haven't done before, kind of thing like that. Right after I finish my hour of close-up, I get a phone call from Jason, who's on the other side of the building. He's in the campus movie theater setting up his show. And he calls me and I go, "What's up, y'all good?" And he says, "Can you bring me a paper towel? I just threw up." And I go, "Oh shit, are you okay?" And he goes, "I'm fine now, but I just need to clean myself up. Can you bring me something?" So I run out there, I go see him. He's like drinking water. He's on the phone with his girlfriend. I'm like, "Are you all good?" And he's like, "Yeah, I haven't thrown up like that in years, but I think I feel okay now." So this is about 11:30 at this point. And I'm like, "You're sure you're good?" He's like, "Yeah." So he pops in, he does a little bit of close-up before his stage show, but then about 12 o'clock comes around and he pukes again. And I start getting a little bit concerned for him, and he starts getting concerned for himself because he has a show to do, but not just one, but two. Because the plan was that after this show, I'm going to accompany him to another dry grad that he's doing at 3 o'clock in the morning. So he starts to become concerned because he has two shows to do and he's feeling worse and worse. So I'm standing outside kind of behind the theater with him, kind of waiting for him to sort of pull through and be like, "Okay, I think I'm feeling okay now. I think I can do it." But that moment never comes. He starts saying stuff like, "I don't know how I'm going to do one, let alone two of these tonight." So it's not looking promising. But it's so close to showtime that there's like really no option other than just lock in and do it. So I've got my fingers crossed for him. He pushes the start time of the show by like 5 minutes. So it's like 12:35. I take my seat around the back of the theater. He plays his intro, which is his like intro segment from when he was on Spain's Got Talent. So everyone's super hyped. He walks on stage. He seems good. He seems like he's doing okay. But when he walks on, he's very honest with the audience that he's not feeling well at all. He said that he had the worst food poisoning he's ever had in his life. Spoiler alert, it was not exactly just food poisoning, but we'll get to that. So he makes it clear that he's not feeling 100%, but he says, "I'm going to give you all I got. I want all of the energy that you got in return." He gets a huge, like, hyped round of applause for that. So he goes into his first piece on stage, which is McDonald Aces, which is the piece that he did on Spain's Got Talent, and that's super well received. He goes into his second piece, which is a mentalism hit of like a thought of name, which goes really well. And then he starts his third piece, which is Angle Z. And the way that he does Angle Z is he takes what they don't know is the corner yet out of his pocket. He says it's a small thing that's going to become very important, and he puts it in someone's hand. And he gets to the point where he's about to put it in their hand, and he kind of stops and he goes, "Is Kobe out there?" And I perk up. I go, "What?" I go, "Yep." And he goes, "Do you want to come up here?" And I go, "Oh no, is he about to puke?" So I go, "Yeah, do you want me to just pick up where you left off?" And he goes, "Yeah, do that." So I take the trick out of his hand, and he runs outside, presumably to go throw up because he got sick again. So I do angle Z the exact way that he was just about to do it, and there's still no sign of him. So I'm like, I guess I gotta improvise. So I can't even remember what I did. I think I did like a card to pocket or something. Whatever I did, it wasn't great. It wasn't very good because I wasn't mic'd up the way he was. I was standing on the floor. The stage behind me is pretty high. I'm trying to like interact with people, but I don't have a mic, so it's difficult. So I'm kind of hopping up and off the stage. And I'm like patting myself down, trying to think of like what I should be doing because I had almost nothing on me. Because the plan for that night was that I was going to do 1 hour of close-up magic. And before I left that night, I was like, should I bring my case? I don't even think I need my case. So I brought my jacket and a crossbody bag that had like a couple decks of cards and a couple little gimmicks, most of which I had already used during my walk around. So I was really racking myself to try and find something that I could do. So I can't remember exactly what I did. I was on stage for probably 5 minutes. I finished off Angle Z. I think I did a card to pocket. Oh, I might have done double cross up there too, just because I had it. Which is not great on stage, but it was all I had. And then Jason pops back in. He's like, all right, he thanks me, gives me a fist bump. I go take my seat. I'm like, okay, I think he's doing okay now. And he goes into his next piece, which is Eye Candy, Eric Ross, I think, which, the Tic Tac in the mouth that comes out the eye. It's like a staple piece in his show. It gets a great reaction because he has a close-up camera and he zooms right in on his face while he pulls the Tic Tac out of his eye. So that gets a great reaction. And I'm expecting the show to carry on. But then he goes, let's get Kobe back up here. And I go, oh no, he's not doing well. So I hop back up. This time I ask him to leave the close-up camera on so that I can do something. So he leaves the close-up camera on for me. I think I did a couple things. I think I did a Triumph. I had Uncommon, the Pokemon card wild card trick in my pocket, which I did on the camera. Thankfully, I hadn't done that in my walk around earlier, so it was new to everybody when I did it on the camera. And then I think, I'm trying to remember now, I think he came in one more time and then had to call me up one last time maybe. But he ended up calling off most of his show. Like he had a lot of stuff set up. Typically his show has like a Bill Vanish early on, then there's a Bill and Lemon at the end. He's got the Pain Game by John Allen set up. He didn't even touch that, so like no one knew what this table full of paper bags was for. It was rough, and I knew that he was doing really bad because I know that nothing would stop him from finishing a show unless it was really, really bad. So he kind of just apologized to the audience and wrapped it up. He did his final piece, which was a coin matrix on the table, but he basically just says like, I'm so sorry that I can't do more for you. And that's how that one kind of ended. And I was with him after as he's like apologizing to the parents who organized the evening because he couldn't do it. My aunt was actually on the pack, and she, they were all very understanding because obviously it's not his fault that he is like sick and dying. But like just not a great situation, right? Because like they've paid a lot of money for this show that he couldn't deliver, and he paid it back, right? He refunded them because he knew that he couldn't do the show that they paid for, which is understandable. But then there's the issue of he has another show in a couple hours that he knows he can't do, but he doesn't want to cancel it. He's unsure if he can even drive to the other one. He's like thinking about getting an Uber, thinking about finding someone else that can drive us to the rec center where this other dry grad is at. I'm like, are we going to load the car? He's like, I can't load the car. So I go, so we're just gonna leave everything here. He gets permission to just leave his show in the theater until the next morning. And I go, what are you gonna do? And he goes, start writing down a set list. And I go, write down a set list for, and he's like, you're probably gonna have to do 35, 40 minutes. I'll start with like a 5 or a 10 minute and end with a 5 to 10 minute. And I was like, okay, like at least I had a little bit more notice than the other one, but like still I've got almost nothing on me. So I start writing down everything that I can do with what I have on me, and of the few things that he had on him that I was able to bring. It was mostly card stuff. I have this torn corner transposition trick that I showed Lloyd on that live stream that I ended up doing. I did a thing with an invisible deck because Jason had a bag of 52 invisible decks all wrapped like gifts. That's a pretty fun presentation for invisible deck. What else did I do? I did some other card transposition. When I was there, I found out that they had cans of soda water, so I did Fizzmaster. But I'm just scribbling down any trick that I can do with what I have on me. So we're on our way to the second venue, and about halfway there, Jason just suddenly pulls the car over and stumbles out onto, like he parked in like a field, and he stumbles out of the car onto the grass, and he's like on his hands and knees, and he hands me his phone, and he's like, this is the client's number, call her and tell her that we're coming. So I pick up the phone and I call her and I'm like, hi, you don't know me, but I'm with Jason and he's dying, but we're gonna come to a show of some sort. And she sounded surprisingly chill about the whole situation. But we show up to the venue. They've gotten the room like all ready for Jason to start setting up his show. But I'm just kind of scrambling, making sure I've got everything in my pockets that I need. I meet the client. Jason introduces me as the one who's going to be taking over the majority of his show, basically. And this one's at 3 a.m. So I have no idea how it's going to go because we're tired, the kids are tired, everyone's tired. But once everyone's all sat in there, Jason comes on first, and he opens with Blake Voigt's envelope opener, which is great. So it's like, he does about 5 minutes up there. And then he basically just calls me up and I start. So I start doing my set. I start doing something like the torn corner thing is something that I'm very comfortable with because I do that in my parlor show all the time. The invisible deck thing went really well. What else did I do? I think I did a phone unlock or something like that. But after I'm up there for probably 15, 20 minutes, Jason gives me like a little signal that he's going to come up and do something. So he comes up, he borrows a $100 bill from somebody and vanishes it. And then that's his little, he was probably up there for another maybe 5 minutes, and he did the bill vanish. And then he calls me back up. So I keep doing stuff. What did I can't even remember what I did at this point. I did Fizzmaster at some point, which went okay. I know that I finished my segment with 6 Pro, which also went okay. But after I did another 20 minutes or so, he comes up to sort of close it out, and he wants me up on stage with him while he's closing the show out, but he can't even like stand up because he's so sick. So he pulls up a chair for himself, he pulls up a chair for me. We're kind of sitting up there. He pulls out the bag that has the lemon in it. He pulls the guy's signed bill out of the lemon. That feels like the ending of the show, but then he has one last piece. He does Find Your Other Half, and he did it with me as well. So I was sitting up there with him, following the instructions, tearing the cards. And that's just such a fantastic closer. And overall, it felt like that night went a lot better than it should have given the circumstances. And it was definitely a learning experience, having to figure out how to do a show with very little on me, and on about 30 minutes notice was what I had to scribble this set together. But my favorite thing about that night was the fact that I made my friend proud and I made his client happy. Like, he refunded that client as well, except she wanted him to keep a little bit to send to me because she was happy with what I was able to do. which felt really good. And I actually got, I got a little bit emotional about it later because, I don't know, there was like this beautiful moment at the end where me and Jason were up there like receiving applause together, and to be up there like that with someone who I've been friends with for like coming up on like a decade now, I don't know, it was just it felt like a very beautiful moment despite the not ideal circumstances of how we got there. But I end up getting home at about 5:30 in the morning that day, maybe. So we're into Friday morning now. And I've got to wait around for a couple hours. I think I ordered McDonald's breakfast off Uber Eats while I'm sitting around waiting, because at 8:30 a.m. my time is when Lloyd's live stream starts. So I got on the stream with Lloyd. I told this story when it was still like very fresh in my memory. And then after that, I didn't really want to go to sleep right away, because even though I had been awake for way too many hours, I didn't want to sleep all of my Friday away. So I went out for coffee and stuff. I stayed up until I think 2 p.m., 2:30 p.m. I got into bed, and then, you know, slept the rest of the day. And then I woke up Saturday morning about 4 a.m. and I threw up. And I sort of stood up and I realized that I was shivering and feeling terrible. And I was like, oh no. So I ended up catching the exact same thing that Jason had at the show. And man, it was terrible. Like, with how I felt, I couldn't believe that the guy was on his feet at all, let alone still performing magic. So it was pretty rough. And it lasted, for me, it lasted about 24 hours. I woke up the Saturday morning 4 a.m. with it, and I was only awake for brief moments at a time, mostly sleeping all the way through until Sunday 7:30 in the morning, at which point I was fine. But damn, it was pretty rough. So that's kind of the story of how that night went. It's definitely a moment in my magic career that I won't be forgetting. This is a story that I'll probably be telling for a very long time, both because of just like how crazy the situation was, but how, I think it's fair to say, proud of myself I was to be able to pull something together like that made the audiences happy, made the clients happy, and made my friend happy. So yeah, thank you for listening to this little story. Sorry it took me so long to like finally sit down and tell it. I've told it on Lloyd's channel as well, so if you watch the Lloyd live stream that has me on it, you can hear me on 24 hours without sleep telling this telling this story just a couple of hours after it happened. But yeah, thank you so much for listening. I'll try and be back with another one soon. Peace.